Hey everybody, welcome to another video from the 67 Stang channel. So, now that we've got the carpet in, and hopefully you've seen the video for that, hopefully I remembered to post it. Anyway, it's time to start working on really putting other things back together. So I'm going to start with the area of the back seat first. And so what I've already done, I've already kind of started the process, is I've started working on these back panels that fit in right here where the rear window is and go kind of around the wheel well area, cleaning those up. They were very, well, I thought they were in better shape than they were. Not that they were in bad shape, but there was a layer of insulation. Let me see if I can whoops, pull out from my trash bag here that I've been working with. Yeah, here's some. So this kind of insulation, which is again, I guess a form of jute or whatever. It's fibrous insulation, not the same stuff that was under the carpet, mind you, but it was glued to the inside of those panels, and I had to get it, well, it started just pretty much falling off. I mean, it was the original stuff. So after 50 something years, it just deteriorated and started falling into pieces. So I had to go ahead and help it the rest of the way, get it done. So let me go ahead and now I'll go over and kind of show you where I'm at, talk a little bit about what I've done to start getting these panels that fit in here into shape. Okay, so let's go over to where I have those at. Okay, so these are the two panels. Let's see, this one is the driver's side, this one is the passenger side. So that insulation was glued in right in here on this panel, and the same over here. And I had to get it off. I pulled a lot of it off, and then I just used a scraper to get the rest of it off. Now what that did do is two things. One, you could see there was still a bunch of adhesive left down on the panel itself, and also it exposed some rust. So what I did is scraped off a little more, took a wire wheel and wheeled both panels down, and in doing so that exposed a bunch more rust that I didn't see. Now it was all surface rust, it wasn't bad. So then I continued with a wire wheel, getting it as far as I could with that, wiping it down periodically with degreaser and acetone alternately. And then I came back after that, after the wire wheel, I came back in with some 100 grit sandpaper and went from 100 I think to 240 grit on this one. This one wasn't as bad, so I didn't mess with it too much. I just got got all the adhesive off, took care of the little surface rust, and this is the passenger side. It was pretty good. This one has been worse. So I went, I think, with 100 grit, did a couple of passes of 100 grit sandpaper with a sanding block on there. Then coming back again between those and rinsing it off, cleaning it up down to, I think I got down to 100 and then went to 150, and that's where I stopped. Got it all pretty much cleaned up, and what I've done is gone ahead and put one coat of paint. Now I'm using that roller bar chassis paint. Get that so you can see it. So this VHT roller bar and chassis paint on the inside of this. It's a combination paint primer, so I don't have to worry about priming it. But I put 3 or 4 coats on the passenger side. I'm going to do the same thing here on the driver's side, again, to keep any rust from coming back, hopefully on the inside, at least in the meantime. Once I get all this done and dry, I'm going to come back with some of that soundproofing or sound deadening, the Matte 66, and put that on the inside of this as well. So between what I put on the frame itself and what I put on here, we should have some pretty good insulation, I think, on that. Okay, so what I'm going to do once these dry is then I've got to clean up this side. This is the side that you'll see in the car. It is textured, so you don't want to be too heavy with your paint. This is not in too bad a shape. It's got a few spots that rub through, but I've got some satin indoor-outdoor paint for metal from Ace Hardware that I'm going to use. That's what I used on the dash when I took it all apart. So I'm going to put that on to match here. The dash looks really good. It worked really well on the dash, so I'm expecting it to work really well on this too. It's cheap. Anyway, you get the idea. So I'm going to come back in, paint all of this up before I get it all installed in the car. So that's these two pieces. Back down here where they can finish drying. Now let's talk about in the car. Okay. Oh gosh, doesn't that carpet still look just wonderful? It is. So that'll take care of that side and that side. Then we have that little thing back there. That's called the package deck, I think. Package shelf, anyway. So I've got to get a new one of those and get it put in. And believe it or not, I may have one. Let's go see. Okay, so got a box. Boxes are always fun. This one came from National Parts Depot. Thanks once again to Jeff Ford and all the rest of Mod for turning me on with those guys. By the way, I'm going to apologize for wind. This is literally, what, 2 days after the Zeta hurricane tropical storm blew through here in metro Atlanta and up the East Coast. So we're going to still have some windy stuff going on. Thankfully, we never lost power here at my house. Well, that's not entirely true. We did lose power briefly, but not enough to be concerned about. And I am lucky enough to have a full generator on the house. So, got that after losing power and didn't want to have my fish tank stuck. So. And UPS is showing up. I wonder what they want. Let's go check and see. Okay, I'm back. It was nothing for me. It was stuff for my wife. Anyway, she ordered me carpet, so I'm not complaining. Also give me a chance to put a second coat of paint on that driver's side panel. So anyway, let's get in the box. Now we've cut the tape and see what we got inside. We have wrapping paper. And there we go. So this is that back package tray got from National Parts Depot. This is like the original. So it's made out of kind of a fiberboard masonite kind of feel to it. Just like the original was. So very much like the original. You can see it's neutral color. You will have to paint this black or whatever color your car happens to be. Mine will be black. So I will get this fitted into the car. Now everything I've read says these are going to have to be trimmed. And there's two reasons for that. One, this is designed, I think, for like 64.5 up to 68. So trying to be one size fits all. So that's part of the reason. There are some differences, obviously, as well as this, the construction of the car. That's what I was going. Is the tolerances on the cars back then were not what they are now, meaning that they allowed a lot more flexibility in the construction of these gaps and things like that than they do in today's cars, which have tighter tolerances. So every car is going to be a little bit different. No two cars are the same. So anyway, so this is going to go in the back deck lid. Wasn't really going to do this now, but I got to let some paint dry. So let's see if we can get in there and make it fit. See how it fits as is without me cutting. Let's take a look at that. So I'm going to come over here and see how it goes. Okay, let's see how all that seems to. Okay, so now there's a lip back here that this has to rubber seal. It goes with the rear windshield that has to fit under. Okay, so that's under there. Huh. You know what? It'll fly back there. Now it did fly. Actually fits pretty good. No trimming required. So what you got then is there's little clips that hold it up front here, and then of course the rear seat comes up over it to hold it down some more. But that, wow, I don't think I have to trim any of it. That's impressive. What I will need to do, though, is get in on the trunk and mark out the speaker holes for the two 6x9s that were back here that I put in the 80s. And I don't know if I'm going to put those back in here or not, but interesting. Now the other thing I'm trying to decide is which side do I put up. This fiber textured part was what was up on the original one in here. So this has this textured side, and then it has a slick side. Now, so they call this a package tray, which I thought it was like a rear deck lid, but apparently that's not what this is. I don't know what the rear deck lid is, I guess. But so assuming that is a package tray, it would make sense that you'd have the rougher side up, so that anything you put up here would have more friction and not just go sliding off. You know, I don't intend to be putting anything back there, so I don't know. The other thing is, I think I have some room. I can put some more of that, some more of the Matte 66 under there too, to help silence it, reduce vibration. Decisions. Well, I don't have to make that choice now. Okay. Well, we'll figure that out later when we get there, but I just can't believe how well that just fit in there. Every review I read said you had to do adjustments to it to get it to fit, but that just slides right in there. Yay me. So anyway, so we got to paint it. I'm not going to do that tonight. Well, I say I'm not going to do it. No, I'm not, because I need to cut the holes in it first for the speakers. So anyway, so there you have it. We got the tray fitted. That was hard. So we're going to go ahead and call it a night. We'll pick up later tomorrow probably, and go from there. We keep making progress. And God, I still love this carpet. It's so nice. Gosh, it's so soft. Anyway, we'll get out of here. That was fun. Slipped. Okay guys, we're back for day 2 on getting the back seat area done. Already got the side panels, which I'll show you in a minute, the ones that go over here where the back window is, painted and ready to go in, I think. So we still got to do the back package lid or package tray and get it done, so that's what I'm going to do next. And then we've got the seat belts and seats to put in, and that should be done. So yay, good progress. So let's see what we can get done and go from there. Okay, so our first step on the package tray is to get up here and mark the holes where the speakers go. So that would be where the original speaker would have gone, but the new 6x9s, or I guess old 6x9s because they're from the 80s, are going to go on that side one and that side one there. So I'm going to go and mark those out with the Sharpie so I know where to cut before I go and paint this thing. So that's what I'm going to do now, go in there and mark it with the Sharpie. Okay guys, so these are the back panels. I've got them painted. Of course I sit down and I forget to get the paint I was using. I'll show it to you in a second. Anyway, these weren't in that bad of shape. The driver's side, as I mentioned earlier, at least I think I did, was in worse shape than the passenger side. And this is the driver's side, this is the passenger side. Both sides. So this one I had to take down a good bit to get all the rust out before I primed and painted it. Well, actually I used a paint that has a primer mixed into it. So but I want to get all the surface rust taken care of. You might be able to see the areas down here, over here where the rust was. Matter of fact, let me get the camera and kind of bring you in closer so you can take a closer look at this, and then we'll talk about some of the other issues with these kind of panels. Okay, get you down here closer. So, you can see some stuff is blown in, but luckily the paint's dry. But I don't know if you can tell the difference between right in here and then right up here. So this was the area where the rust was. Continues over here, had some right in here, and then it actually went up in this channel here a good bit on the, this is the side that faces inside of the car. So, and it was pretty similar on the back side too, but you can kind of see the difference. So what I did to prepare this, because you got to be careful. I don't know if you can see that texture on there. So you want to be careful both when prepping the surface and when painting it to not overcome the texture that you see there. So what did I do? And keep in mind, I am no body person, no paint expert, anything of that nature. Don't claim to be, don't want to be, all that. But what did I do? Well, I took a wire wheel very loosely and went over the rusted areas. I will say as I got into rusted and it went a little further, I found more rust under the old paint. These were repainted at one point. I did it again, I think back when I replaced the carpet in the 80s. So I found some rust underneath the paint on there. So every time I found a little more rust, I went a little further. So I went with the wire brush, wire wheel on my drill, but being very careful about how much force, because I didn't want it to go in and start gouging the texture that's on the metal. It's stamped in there. I don't know how it got in there, but stamped in there. And then I would come back with, if I can find it, it was right behind me a second ago. Ah, there we go. And I just came back with some steel wool. Whoops. I just messed up that. There we go. That's not bad. Came back with some steel wool and got in there too. Also used that to scuff the rest of it so the paint would adhere better. Once I did that, I came back with some grease cleaner, grease remover, wiped the whole panel down with that, and then lastly came back with some good old acetone to make sure I got everything good and clean before I painted it. Now what I'm using to paint these is the same thing I used on the dash. I don't know if I ever showed this to you, but I just went up to Ace Hardware. I got this Rust Stop indoor outdoor black satin paint. It looks pretty damn good to me. I know it's not necessarily what factory paint would have been. I don't know how long it'll last or anything like that, but you know, we'll test it out and see, I guess. But anyway, so that's what I'm using here. Your mileage may vary, but that's what I've done to this. And on the back side, I use that other stuff we were talking about. You can see I need to clean off from my fingerprints or from holding it. But anyway, so I've got these done. Now, back there, you can see I've started working on the rear package lid or package tray or whatever it's called. Got the holes cut out for the speakers, and I've started painting it. And I'm using a different paint for it because that's a different material. This paint here is for metal. That's not metal. That's a fiberboard, something like masonite. So what I'm using on it, again, from my local Ace Hardware, is this. And I went with a gloss as opposed to a satin because of the material. I expect that this will dull things out a good bit because of what it's made out of. So I put the gloss, which I think will come closer to a satin style finish that'll match the interior panels as well. I don't know if it's going to work. I'll find out. So I will say this material soaks up the paint. So this is just the first coat. And again, this is a paint primer mix on there. So we'll see how well that does. So I'm going to keep on painting this. And while I'm working on it and getting it to dry, I'm going to go back in here and do a couple things. One, I got to run wires for the back speakers because I pulled the old ones out because they were trash. So I'm going to run those on the passenger side back up that way, just like we did with the main wire harness that we did earlier on the driver's side for all the tail lights and all that. So that's what I'm going to do while that is drying. Get started on running those wires. I'm not going to show you those. If you want to see how to run the wires, you can watch my video. I'll try to put a link to it in here that shows how to properly run the wires from the trunk through to the engine compartment. I don't want to run them under the carpet or under the seats and all that like I've seen some folks do. Since I got everything out, it's just easier to run them the right way. So I'm going to get started on running that speaker wire. Okay, so we've made some progress. I got that all painted and back up in there. Got the speaker holes cut. They're not very perfect, but they're good enough. Luckily, you won't see them. I think what I did with the gloss on that material made it look more satin, so I'm very happy with that. It put pretty much the whole can of spray paint to get it to that color. Multiple coats to get it in there to get it set up, so we're good. I also put some more of the matte 66 underneath that, and then we've got these, which have turned out really good, I think. Also put the matte 66 underneath there to keep it done. So I think we're about ready to go install these almost. The next thing we really have to install, so I walk you down this way, are these, the seat belts. I've got them out here drying out. I washed them. They hadn't been washed in God knows how long. They were nasty and disgusting. but they're all clean now and ready to go back into the car. So we're going to go ahead and take these and install them. So I'll go ahead and grab one side up here. And put these here. Now I got to go get the bolts, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, the male end that goes on this side, the female end goes on that side. So basically this goes towards the inside of the car, and this one right here goes outside the car. That's how I'm going to mount them. I'll probably double check the shop manual to make sure, but got to go get the bolts because there is a bolt hole. Where is it at? There's the bolt hole, I think right there, and then one back over there. So we'll go ahead and get those. I'll get the bolts and I'll put them in. Okay, so we got seat belts in. Check. The other thing I've been doing is going ahead and lubricating up the side windows, getting them in there so they will crank up and down more easily. Get the, see, that just cranks right up, goes right down, a lot smoother on both sides. So it's a good idea while I already had the side panels off. So I think with that, we're ready to try to put on these side panels. See if I can remember how they go on. So let's go. Okay, driver's side panel is in. Best I can tell, it fits right. So we'll be working on the next side.